Hello and welcome to Iello. Today we will show you how to play Ancient Knowledge. In Ancient Knowledge you are the ancient builders of this world and keepers of knowledge of millenniums past. Leave your mark on history by building monuments and artifacts from history to preserve this knowledge. Each unique monument is part of your game engine and that will give you points. But monuments will decline over time, and so your tableau is constantly changing and evolving. As your monuments slide slowly into the past, will you be able to curate their knowledge before it is lost? When a player has at least 14 monuments in their past, the game ends. The player who collects the most victory points wins the game. Ancient Knowledge is for 2 to 4 players, takes around 30 minutes per player, and is for players of the knowledgeable age of 12 and older. Each player takes a player board and places it in front of them. Your playing area will be much larger than just this board, so make sure you have enough space. Above your board lies the timeline that can consist of 12 cards in 2 rows. You will place monuments here. These will decline to the left over the course of the game. When monuments slide off the board on the left side, they become part of your past, over here. Your past is always visible to you and your opponents. In the middle there is space to store up to 5 artifacts, recognizable by the cup icon. To the right you can store your technology cards, sorted by type: ancient, writing and secrets. The last zone on the bottom left of your player board is reserved for lost knowledge. This is knowledge that you have forgotten over time. Randomly choose a first player and give them the first player token. Shuffle all of the builder cards and deal 10 to each player. Choose 6 of them and discard the rest to the discard pile. In a 3 or 4 player game, the third and fourth player draw an extra card after choosing. The rest forms the draw pile. For your first game, we recommend starting with one of the 6 card starting hands. You can recognize them by the icons in the bottom corner. They give you a balanced starting point. Place the 3 technology tiles in the middle of the table so that 2 level 1s and 1 level 2 is visible. Shuffle the level 1 and level 2 technology cards separately and fill the tiles with the corresponding technologies. Leave the other cards as 2 separate drawing piles. Make a reserve of knowledge tokens in the center of the table. These will be representing your knowledge when they are in your timeline, or lost knowledge when it declines to the past. You are ready to begin. When it is your turn, you complete these phases in order: the action phase, the timeline phase, and the decline phase. Please take note that you can never have more than 10 cards in your hand. If you may draw past 10 cards, you simply don't draw the excess cards. In the action phase, you may take 2 actions, for which you have 5 options: create, learn, archive, excavate, and search. We will go through them one by one. You may choose to take the same action twice if you like. 1. Create. You can create a monument or an artifact. When you create a monument, you play a monument from your hand on your timeline. Let's take one of the monuments as an example. These are the Ellora caves in India. To play this monument, you must discard 2 additional cards from your hand. Place the card on its starting space, shown in this circle. Only when creating a monument can it be played on a different space. Discard extra cards equal to the difference between the 2 spaces to play it in the space of your choice. You cannot play a card in this manner directly into your past. Also, if a card displays the lock icon, you cannot alter the destination space of the card. Add as many knowledge tokens to this card as the number here indicates. Right next to that you see how many this card is worth at the end of the game, but only if it is in your past by then. Next to the points is an activation symbol. This symbol indicates when the effect underneath it triggers. The lightning bolt indicates, for instance, an immediate trigger, while the victory point symbol indicates an effect during final scoring. There are only 2 rows to play your monuments. A monument is always played in the first row unless there's already a monument there, then you can play it in the second row. If the monument in the first row is displaced because of a card effect, the monument in the second row slides to the first row. An artifact is created on your board. There's only space for 5 artifacts, so if they are all full, you cannot play another artifact until an effect enables you to get rid of them. 2. Learn. Choose one of the technology cards in the center of the board. Check if you meet its requirements, if any, and place it in the matching row on the right of your builder board. Level 1 technology have an immediate effect and level 2 provide victory points at the end of the game. Do not refill the cards on the tile when you take a technology until only a single card is left. Discard the last card and place 3 new cards. 3. Archive. Knowledge that declines to your past becomes lost knowledge. That will cost you a point at the end of the game. To prevent this, you can discard cards from your hand. Per card, you can remove 1 knowledge from a monument in your timeline before it becomes lost knowledge. 4. Excavate. At one point you will be running out of cards. With Excavate, you can acquire new cards by using the monuments in your past. Rotate as many cards as you like in your past 90 degrees and receive 2 new cards for each monument you turn. Rotating it does not affect the monument in any way, except that you cannot do it again unless a card effect enables you to straighten them again. If any of the draw piles runs out of cards, you simply shuffle the discard piles and start over. 5. Search. Draw 1 card from the draw pile and add it to your hand. Obviously, you won't use this action often, since it is better to draw cards through the Excavate action, but let's suppose you have already rotated all of your monuments. After you've taken your 2 actions, it is time to go to the timeline phase. During this phase, the artifacts and monuments in your timeline with this icon will trigger their effects. For instance, the token from Mexico lets you discard a knowledge from any of your monuments if you have equal to or fewer than 3 lost knowledge and at least 1 monument in your past. Remember, effects on monuments in your past never trigger. Next is the decline phase. Start out with declining all monuments in the first space on your timeline. If any of the monuments in the first space has this symbol as an effect, apply the effect now. Move any knowledge on the monument to the lost knowledge zone on your board and move the monument to the past. From now on, the effects on this card are not available anymore. Not even this ongoing effect that had you discard knowledge and draw cards all the time. If you have to move 2 cards to the past, you decide which card you decline first. Now check the number of monuments in your past. The first player to reach the milestone of 7 monuments there flips a level 1 technology tile to a level 2 technology tile. Discard the level 1 cards and refill the tile with level 2 technologies. This only happens once per game. Slide all other monuments on your timeline 1 space to the left. Artifacts stay where they are. If you have 14 monuments in your past, you go to the end of the game. Otherwise, it's necessarily the next player's turn. When the end of the game is triggered, play continues until all players have had the same number of turns. Use the first player token to determine when this happens. Let's check out how well your civilization was doing. Count the number of victory points in the center of each monument. Add victory points from effects on monuments in the past. Add points from level 2 technology cards that you have acquired. And get 1 point for each monument still in your timeline. Ignore the tokens that are left on the cards or the effects of the cards in your timeline. Subtract 1 point for each lost knowledge on your board and you have your grand total. The player with the most points wins the game. These were the rules for Ancient Knowledge. Will your monument stand the test of time? We hope you enjoy the game, so tell us how it went. And please don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments. We look forward to seeing you again at the next video of Iello.